Hello and welcome to the Thursday show with myself and the First Lady. And tonight's show is going to be a review of the Zurich versus Arsenal women and a roundup of the season so far because we head into the winter break. So, without further ado, how are you, Ange? And how's your week been?
Yes, I'm very good, thank you, Richard. Yeah, had some time off, gratefully received. Really pleased that ghastly weather's gone, treacherous on the pavements, and that's part of my job, walking. So, yes, very pleased about that. Pleased that I don't have to heating on so much because everything's so damn expensive. And football, because it's all about the women. Yeah, what a result last night. And also another thing that we can touch on the end is BBC Personality of the
Of the
Year.
year.
The
First woman footballer to
Yeah,
receive that honour, and well deserved.
yeah, very much so. I think so. We can touch on that later. Okay. I think to be fair, I don't think we should go through the lineups because it was a very strong lineup
Yeah,
considered.
I think the only difference that they had Sousa and Williamson on from the start, but
Yeah.
Williamson was playing in the midfield rather than defence,
Yes.
and I think
Uh,
that's probably the only real change to a lineup.
mm, yeah.
But
It worked.
it was a
I mean,
strong lineup, and so what did you think of the first half?
oh, well, that was interesting because I was doing another cannon fodder show last night. So I was keeping an eye on the scores on the doors. But from what I saw of the first half, as well as a lovely chat, which was really lovely, certainly you can see we had a strong lineup. No disrespect to Zurich, but yeah, they're not in Arsenal's league. And yeah, the girls just went for it. And at one point, I couldn't keep up with the goals. It was amazing. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, we it's been a while since we started that
Yeah.
well in the game. We started fast, and I think it was sort of 20 seconds. We it was around about 20 minutes, and we'd had 6 or 7 chances
Mm.
before we scored the first goal. And it was Mornham because I picked that up from a commentator. He'd been speaking to her during, and she said the English call it Marnham. It's actually Mornham, but she doesn't mind. But
Yeah.
it's nice to know how you actually pronounce a player's name.
Yeah.
I think, and she got us off a mark with a brilliantly taken free
Mm.
kick. And from there on, we were in the driving seat. Uh,
Absolutely. Yeah, because do you know what? In the end, I had to go back on Twitter to see who'd scored what because I kind of got lost in the end with the
yeah,
momentum. So three,
Mornham scored 3.
yeah,
I
she,
think Blackstenia scored a couple.
yeah, she,
Did Little Iwabuchi
yeah,
and
man,
Ford scored 2 as well, I believe.
that's it. Yeah, yeah, it was just amazing, actually. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I think Ford could have had a hat trick as well, couldn't she?
yeah, actually,
She missed one late on as well.
mm,
But I mean, I think that's Zurich's biggest ever loss.
oh, right.
Uh, 5-0. Their previous one was the 5-0 against Juventus.
Right, okay,
So, and I think that's our biggest winning margin
okay.
in the Champions League as well.
Well, interesting with my little Facebook group, I did put on there. I just felt, yeah, we're going to get quite a few tonight. So I put the benchmark as 8. And so Manna, and I was so pleased for her. I really, as I think we all are,
Yeah,
obviously. But yeah, when she scored that extra one, I thought, oh, well, I'm not a betting woman, so don't bother me, more the merrier.
yeah. I mean, it was sort of we'd gone sort of Yeah, we got on about 6 up, and then we were 6-0 up, and then they got one back, a penalty. My dad, there was a shout in the first half for a penalty where Sousa, and they didn't really show the angles or anything, but it did look like Sousa got away with not giving a penalty away in the first half, but she could give that one away in this. I think it was her who gave it away in the second half as well, and they scored from that, so they got a consolation. But
we'll let.
I think it was. It was domination from large parts. I mean, I think there was a 5-minute spell in the first half where they got into the game and they had a little bit of attacking threat, and then we regained that, and it was really one side. What I will say was, big up to the Zurich fans. They were immense. The noise and the support all the way through was immense, and it's nice to see.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it was an artificial pitch, and I know the commentators, because it looked icy, but the commentators said actually it's not icy, it's just the reflection of the floodlights on the pitch.
Well,
so
I've just got to say, Richard, funny little story. This keeps doing this to me on Dan's, and I like to watch it on the telly. And I find a notification, and of course, depending where they're playing, of course, last night was Switzerland, what the commentary am I getting? I thought, oh, no, I'm not clever enough to speak Swiss, so I had to quickly find
I've got mine down. Mine was English commentary, which was good, but and it helps. And it helped. As I said, he got Mornham's. He did the pronunciation, and I mean, it was a pretty composed and confident performance. That for the first couple of goals put the game tie beyond doubt, and then it was just about, did we have the maturity and the game now to finish off the game and then send us through top, which is what it did. I didn't see what the Juve Lyon game ended, so I don't know what.
I didn't.
But I mean, either way, I think we would have. We qualified last night, or we'd already qualified. It was just what position we were going to qualify, first or second. If Lyon on Juventus drew, we were through top. If Lyon won, we drew. Lyon would have gone through top. If they had won and we drawn, it would have been down to goal difference who had gone through as top. So there was plenty of permutations, but hats off to them. They didn't allow themselves to get stuck like we did against PSV, and got the job done, and they did it quite impressively. What did you think of Williamson in that midfield role?
I'll be honest with you, because, like I say, for the first half, it was sort of one eye on the screen here, one eye. But to me, without watching it on playback, well, she just got the job done, from what I could see, because it was all working right, wasn't it? The team playing together. I mean, for most parts of the game, they have total domination. And like I said, Zurich were just the lesser side. So it worked. Yeah, totally worked.
Yeah, it was interesting to see her in that role and in that position, because we know she can play play the ball out from the back, and she's got good passing. But it was a different side to her game that maybe we don't necessarily see all the time. And she had a couple nice pullbacks across the box that didn't get finished. So could have ended up with a couple assists as well. So all round performance was quite good.
Yeah, no, good game. And when do they go back to the Champions League? When does that
let's have a look.
I haven't looked actually.
Yeah, I'll have a look. Let's see. I'll go on to the Arsenal.com because it'll be
That's welcome.
Matches. Right. So January is the Chelsea, Brighton, West Ham, Man City, Liverpool, Reading, Tottenham. It hasn't been, but I would imagine it's sort of end of January. I would have thought, but because it now goes into like a Super League format, I believe, rather than knockout stages this year.
Yeah,
like the men's.
Yeah, I know they've gone through some knockout, but
yeah, but so I think it's now like a Super League type format, which is what the men's Champion League's done. Everyone goes into a, and then it gets broken down to the top certain amount of teams to go into a knockout stage. But we haven't got it down here yet.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah. 15th of Jan is the first game back for the Super League, and that's against Chelsea.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Cool.
So, but I haven't actually got a date for the Champion League to be back. But that'll be interesting. We'll be in with some big guns there and see how we go. I mean, he has said they'll strengthen in January.
Do you know what? That's the one thing. Don't even let's go there with the men at the moment. I'll be amazed to see what they do get. But that's the one thing about the women. And I love the way they do their business. All right, there's a lot of players.
Well, Edu is in charge of the women's and the men's. So they've now got and I think he's also academy as well. So he's in overall charge of all transfer business. So that would be good to see how that goes.
Well, didn't we get Stina and Laura? Didn't we get them last January?
I think we did, yeah. But it wasn't. That wasn't down to Edu, was it?
No, it wasn't. But
this year now, he I think it was last month. He got during the break. He got that given that overall role. So he'll have to, and I assume that it'll be a forward or two to cover Mead and Miedema because they're out for the rest of the season, or nearly the rest of the season, I imagine.
Yeah.
So he'll want back up in those areas and wherever else he can get back up.
Yeah, no, it's going to be very interesting. I just feel the women's market obviously works so different to the men's. Yeah, and it's probably going to be,
and it's less money as well involved.
Well, exactly. I think more freedom of movement. I read and also what I do like, certainly what's been with the way the Arsenal women, probably same with all the WSL clubs. You don't actually know who you're going to get. They turn up, and I like that. It's, and well, so far we've been very pleasantly surprised, haven't we?
Yeah, it's been some great additions, and we're looking to get back to where we were. And I mean, we go on about the history of the men's team, but if you look at the history of the women's team, loads of titles, and they've been the dominant force for many a year in the women's league. So, and it's only just recently that sort of Chelsea and that have come to push at dominance.
Well, hopefully. Yeah, as I say, obviously, as we know, huge setback. First losing Beth and then Viv.
Yeah, we lost Beth from the Man United game. That was where she got hers, and we saw how, and we sort of knew at that point that it looked bad, but we weren't 100% sure how bad it was. And then a couple of weeks, was it 2 weeks later, we had Viv go down, and that was, you could tell straight away when she went down.
Yeah.
And from the replays as well.
And I just like was, oh my goodness, what's happened to Viv? And then they're getting the stretcher out. I thought, oh no.
Yeah. Well, on the replays, it showed that when she planted the twisted motion, the twisted motion on the leg probably ruptured it, and it's one of those things you can't. But it's not nice for any sports person to go through it, and it's a long and hard journey back for her. But she'll have our support and wishes, and the team know what they're doing. They'll send her to the best specialist. I assume it'll be the American guy, Dr. Richard, whatever his name, who he does a lot of the men's ones. He's one of the best in the field.
Okay.
And your recovery time is usually a little quicker when he does them than but he's one of the best out. He's the best in the field. I can't remember his second name. I know it's Richard something, but and he was American because so. But yeah, I mean, we wish them luck. And then while the women were playing last night, they were at the BBC Sports Awards, and Beth picked up Sports Personality of the Year, which I think is, considering who she was going up against, is an achievement.
Do you know what it is? And I'm going to be honest, and I saw something on the Facebook site, the Arsenal Women's Fan Forum, get that title right. Ben Stokes. I've heard of his name, and well, I don't.
Cricketer, isn't he? He's England. He was England captain. I'm not sure if he's still England cricket captain. He was Test match captain, but I don't. But they have a different one-day captain. So, but he was he's one of the he's either Test captain or one-day captain. Right. I don't know which one he is, but yeah, England cricketer.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't do cricket, so I really shouldn't judge. But there's a but coming. I thought he was really, because I actually watched it back properly today, because after we did the Cannon Fodder chat, and I really wanted to catch up with my best friend. We were having a good natter, and I had the telly on, and I was like, oh my goodness, right, Beth's got it. Hey, that's brilliant. And like the Lionesses, Serena Williams. Yeah. But watching it back today, maybe I've totally misconstrued him, but I thought, how ungracious. He came second. And yeah, I'm sure he has done an awful lot for cricket and for, the England team. But I just found him really ungracious. And I saw something on, somebody had put up, I don't know where they were bringing cricket in, but yeah, of course, with Beth Mead. And it was just like, oh, well, she didn't really deserve it. I thought the public voted. All right, I'm biased. You're biased. We love her. We're Arsenal.
Taking the Arsenal out of it, what the England women's team did this in the Euros, and if you take away your personal, her achievement for England, Arsenal over the year have been fantastic. and in her career, you can't begrudge it.
Yeah,
And why should it? Well, why does it matter? Uh, who, who who deserves it? It's down to the public. They decide who deserves it, and that they've decided Beth Mead deserved it.
Yeah, that's the end of it. Yeah.
But they were both deserving to be
Yeah.
in that initial group of nominees, and they've got to that position, and the best person in the public's view won it.
And actually, I knew that because I'm really not into other sports. The Scottish lady, was it curling? She come for that third.
Yeah, the I know who you mean.
Yeah,
she was in. I think she
very gracious, and I thought,
yeah. And again, some people are in defeat, some aren't. So you get those that aren't very gracious in defeat, and it's something that you either are or you aren't. It's the way you're brought up. I imagine but I mean, I think it shows how far women's sports has come. I mean, the only other women have really been athletes and show jumpers.
Yes.
So for other female sports to get that recognition, it is very good.
Yeah. No, I was so made up for her, and I didn't realise about her mum as well. You know, is her mum still with us?
I'm not sure.
No, I'm
not. Yeah, I mean, everyone has a story, and you either know about it or you don't, and it's sometimes you don't know about things until after the career's gone. But you've got, at the end of the day, all these people are human beings. They've got personal lives, they've got private lives, and just because they're in the public spotlight doesn't mean that they're not like the rest of us. They have issues and problems, and have had to deal with things like everyone in life has to. But such an incredible athlete and such an incredible woman.
Yes. Yeah. No, it was quite funny because my daughter was out last night and I heard three of them. And when I said to her, it was just because she doesn't take that much notice of football, but she just went, "Oh, of course, Beth was going to win it." Only dismissed me. I thought, well, I'm glad what wonderful faith you have.
I mean, there was no reason why she shouldn't, because, as I said, if you take into account what she's done in her career to date, what she's done for Arsenal, and what she's achieved with the Lionesses this summer, and what she's done for English football, you can't. She's taken the women's game along with the other Lionesses and put women's football in a spotlight, into a place where it can be, it can rival with the men's. It's demanding the powers to be stand up, take notice, and do something about it, and give the women the fair chance.
Yes.
I mean, I think we know that it was stopped in the late 1920s because I mean, from reading Well, I know that they said it was to protect the women from serious injury and that, but the fact that the last game was Barnet and some, and there was 50,000 fans in 1929, I think it was, which was the last women's game, and to have that many fans at a women's game, 50,000, that's rivaling now a lot of Premier League men's teams.
Yeah.
So you think if they hadn't cancelled it, women's football now could be in a bigger place than the men's football. And I think that was probably why it was cancelled. They were scared that the men's football as a product would be overshone by the women's. And it shouldn't be like that. Both can compete in the same, because not everyone's going to like. But for me, I like the men's, but I enjoy the women's game as well. I enjoy it because it's a little slower. But technically, I think it's superior to the men's game. So, and you get to see that, whereas in the men's game, you don't get to see all that technical aspect, because in the Premier League it's so fast.
Yes, yeah,
and things are happening so fast. Whereas at the women's, it's a slightly slower pace, and you get to appreciate some of the technical aspects of the game.
I actually, for me, as a non-footballing player, I've never played, and for me, I actually get to see things. It's just slowed down enough for me to understand better and actually enjoy it more. And plus, I get a lot more opportunities to watch women's football.
Yeah,
so.
And the other thing I like is that actually it's affordable. I mean,
yes, yeah.
The tickets I got, and I was right at the front row of the in the clock end, just to the right hand side of the goal, and that they were £13 £13.65, I think it was, for a ticket. Once you added all the fees, it came to about £29 for 2 tickets. Now I could have got I could have got 4 women's tickets for the price of a men's game for one man's ticket. It's ridiculous, and but I like that it's at the right price point, and they've not priced them out, and I mean it'd be nice. I know Meadow Parks are always full. I'd like to see that happen to the Emirates when we're at the Emirates, because I've seen in the couple of the games we've had there, even the Man United game, and that was down to rail strikes, I know, but the problems we were getting to, especially from Reading sort of area, there were problems getting there. But that's something Arsenal have to take into consideration. If they know there's going to be disruptions and there's going to be problems for fans getting to, they should try and do all they can to get the fans there.
Yeah,
because the women's games deserves it, and again, I'm looking at those times. I mean, I had to buy extra train tickets because we missed the time slot for our train back because of the extra time. Because there was 10 minutes of extra time where 2 kids had run onto the pitch and bits and pieces, and the injury to Beths. So it ended up that 10 minutes. By the time we got out up to the tube and then back to Waterloo, we'd missed it by 10 minutes. So it's one of those things. So, but I would like to see a little bit more around making sure that fans can get and access games properly. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Tired. Richard, you
Tired.
mentioned the women's game is technical. How technical is it compared to the men's game from the live matches of it? Yes, skill level is, I think, is better. If not, if you might, I might be being harsh to the men's game, but it's if it, some will say, I think the real difference, if you look at the two, is the speed of the English Premier League. But the speed of the English Premier League is the best in the world. Even Italian, Spanish are a lot slower than so. But that technical ability, I think a lot of the women in the English Super League are better than their male counterparts, and I think you could put them in a combined team quite easily, and you wouldn't lose anything. And I don't buy this genetic thing. Men are better because they're built. It's crap. As I said, I've got a friend, and dad's a lorry driver. She's a lorry driver. She's a mechanic for lorries. They're both weightlifters, but she can lift him, and they both do it competitively, local to them. And she's she can bench press more than he can. So it's down to the effort and level you're willing to put in, and it's wrong to say that. And I mean, if you look at the kids teams, how many girls are in the boys leagues and outshine those boys? You've got to say that at some point it doesn't matter what sport. If the person has the technical ability and the skill, they will shine through, whether it's a woman or a man. If the skill and commitment will show who's a better person. It won't come down to genetics. It comes down to that desire, that ability.
Well, that's because I'm just thinking, I mean, we go back to the world of athletics. How long have we had female athletes?
Yeah. What? Yeah.
And obviously you're not going to mix any more than at present. You're going to mix male and female players together. But the quality of women's athletics over the years has been amazing. And you have to, on the female side, it will be a little bit different. But the quality is there. As you say, the technical ability is there. It's just, learning to view it a little bit differently.
Yeah, it's and this is the thing. You can't go expecting to watch a Tottenham Arsenal women's game and see what you're going to get in a Tottenham Arsenal men's game.
Yeah.
But you've got to appreciate what you're seeing. You've got to look at it and say, this is better than that. I appreciate that, but I also appreciate this. I mean, I love it, and I like the slower pace because you can pick things up that you can't in them. You won't. You could. It's also little things like when the tackles are being made and that you can see a foul is a foul from the stands and on the TV, rather than really in the men's game. Because of the speed, you're not getting that chance to see what the contact was. But in the women's game, because it's slightly slower, and again, I mean, you got to think women's football is so far behind the men's in terms of where they've come from, because of that they were banned from playing for so many years, that they're playing catch up on the physical training aspects and bits and pieces, and that will come in time. And I wouldn't be surprised in 10, 20 years time to see the women's game actually competing against the men's for money, viewing, and sponsorship. I mean, they're looking at it now and looking at a way they can fund the Women's Super League, so they can bring more money into it. And with that, the game will improve again, and those leaps and bounds will come on very quickly. But as I said, I think in 10 years' time that the women's product will be far more sellable than the men's product.
Which, yeah, I think the way football's going to evolve generally, yeah. And this goes back to what we call the Super League. Yeah. I don't think that's going to be, I'm not talking about the women, just necessarily going to be a good thing, about keeping it real. But we shall see.
I mean, football will and always will be pretty simple. If you can dominate a match and you can pass one touch, two touch passes, and you will generally be the better team. And if you look at you can go through the teams from Preston North End in the 1890s to you go up to Liverpool's in the 70s and under Paisley and such. They were all one touch, two touch football, quick, boom, straight up to the from one end to the other end of the pitch quite quickly. Man City, very similar. It's crisp, quick passing. So it hasn't changed too much. But those bits about moving the ball fast and that technical ability to do that is what wins games. But you need to realise that you get that in the women's game, but you get to see a lot more with the women's game. You get to see what goes, and I think that will never change. It will be about, can you control the ball and pass the ball in one movement or two movements, and how well you do that. Another one from Tired Evening, loving the show. We've got
thank you.
Ashley D. His internet was down, but give Open Reach credit. They knew the stream was happening and got me up and running just as it started. Power of your stream even reached Open Reach. Well, my stepdaughter's partner is works for him, so I'll give you that nod to him.
Yeah, Virgin hasn't let me down yet. Pay for a nose for it, but thank you. Next.
I'm tired again. I've taken my children, two boys, all on to Arthurman. I think it's too fast. I think it's and also with with a men's game, I'd rather take my family to a women's game because it's safer.
Yeah, that's true.
You take certain men's matches. I would never ever take my kids to. I wouldn't go to a North London derby with them. I wouldn't go to Millwall with them, and some of the other sort of places with my kids because you still in the men's game got a hooligan element,
Yeah.
and it's not nice. But I think for the focused part, I think it's because you can see what's happening and all the time. It's not. Whereas in the men's game, you can be in the right back position one minute, and then in a few seconds you're over on the left wing in the opponent's half. It goes too fast, so it's hard to just keep track of what's going on. Whereas in the women's game, you actually get to keep track of what's going on all game. I mean, unless you're right up in the gods and they're a bit like pinpricks, but
Yeah.
but if you're in the lower or middle tiers, you're going to be able to see what's going on and understand and get a feel for the game a lot better. That's why I think they're probably more focused, and it might be that they prefer the women's football to the men's. It could also be that. I mean, I used to take my daughters and my son to the Emirates Cup every year, or when he was sort of 3, 4, and then he got your first match and sleep through the Arsenal match because he'd already watched one, and that was enough for him. So, but it is all about focus and about that speed and there are also the amount of interruptions in the men's game due to fouls and bits and pieces. It can be quite bitty, so it's hard to just concentrate. A women's game at the moment is quite free flowing, even if there's fouls and and that might be down to the pace of the game. And I haven't actually checked how many fouls in the match between the two. There might be a difference, there might not, but it doesn't seem. There seems to be a difference, but it might not be. It might just be different to the team you're playing at the time, I suppose.
Yeah, to a degree, but yeah. I mean,
All right, Paul, how are you? I hope you're having a good Christmas and keeping well with the family.
Good evening.
We'll have to get you on here in the new year to join us. Tired saying that. Tired saying hello to Paul and hoping he's well. I've got one more shift on New Year, Christmas Eve to do, and then I'm off. But that's because I volunteered to do overtime. I don't know why.
Yeah. No, actually, and I've had a week off, and I've got to go in tomorrow afternoon to tidy up because then after that we go back because she's done a bit.
Clear out the cupboards, clear out the boxes, and make sure you're all ready for the new year, and all the toys and bits are cleaned and they're usable.
Back in that cupboard where it doesn't all fit. Next, that'll be a headache.
Good, tired. I'm working away in Yorkshire before Christmas starts on me. Is there any transfer of news for women to cover for me and Miedema? Jonas has come out and said that they're going to be active in the January transfer window, but there hasn't been specific names mentioned. But you find that a lot with a women's game, but actually there isn't a lot of talk about specific targets, and it's generally not as well covered in the media as the men's game. I'm hoping that will change, and it would be nice for that to change. But I haven't seen anything on any of the forums of any specific players. It's just that Eidfeld has gone and said that there will be looking to do business in the January transfer window to bring additional squad cover, which is understandable. You've lost Miedema, you've lost Mead, and you've also lost Sousa and Williamson for a small period of this season. So he'll know where he wants to get people in and cover in for. So, but yeah, I do think those will be the sort of positions he'll be looking at. But to be honest, Mornham's doing extremely well. Iwabuchi can step into that number 10 role quite well, and it might be the Mead position that would be looking for more depth in cover, but we won't know until it happens. Unless there is somebody out there somewhere that covers women's transfers, and maybe that's something we can ask about on the forums, and we can do a show on covering that.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen it. I mean, for the academy stuff, I always go to George Bird, and he's brilliant for the boys academy stuff. So I'm hoping that there's somebody within the women's that would be able to do. And if I find it, I will search out and I will ask those questions, and we'll try and get them on the show and discuss transfers. But I hopefully, yeah, I agree, Paul. But the atmosphere at women's game is a lot more, a lot friendlier and a lot calmer and more suitable. It's not only suitable for the kids, it's suitable for me as a parent, and I'm sure as you as a parent as well, Paul, and that you're not having to worry if anything's going to kick off, and that you've got to keep the kids safe, which is, and you can actually sit there and enjoy a match. And that's one of the other reasons I enjoy the women's football. The atmosphere isn't like that. It's not as competitive. It's not the intensity between the fans. They're there to enjoy the football and enjoy the spectacle. It's not about those rivalries, which is nice. And there's not that intensity of rivalry. That might be because it's fairly sort of new and bits and pieces, but you don't get the same sort, which I think is nice and should be encouraged. And I'd like to see it more in the men's game, because you should be able to go to watch your team and enjoy it, and you can be nice to sit afterwards in the pub with or on a show like this with rival fans afterwards and talk about what you've just seen in a civilized manner.
Well, let's face it, we all have friends when you do football who won't necessarily support the team, the club you support. And you can talk about it, have a bit of a banter about it. But as you say, once sometimes, and depending who you're playing,
I mean, you look at
silly people there, aren't you? Who want to spoil it.
I mean, what did you see it? The Australian thing in where the Australian team supporters invaded the pitch, hit their own keeper and ref. It was pretty winter warm friendly. I think they were playing Man City, or and they all kicked off.
Silly, it's just so silly.
Yeah, it's just, and then you get YouTube footage of them afterwards. Like, going towards a match, we're going to kick some heads in and bits and pieces like that, just en masse, and they let these people in the stadium.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, it really is insane. It's putting people's lives at risk, actually.
Yeah, you shouldn't be, and these people need to be banned and given prison sentences. And this is why I mean, I liken the women's football matches to what you get in rugby, because you go to a rugby match, you don't get that intensity of hatred that you would get in the men's. I've watched Wasps against Sour and other London teams, and I've never had that problem or that issue. But you go to an English football match, especially London-based teams, and there is still a hooligan element within those fan bases. Why? And because with all the security and all the technology available, it should have been stamped out. And again, this comes down to the Premier League, the FA, and how much they really want to effectively stamp out, because it's publicity, and any publicity is good, or that's how it seems to me. But as long as they're getting the publicity and the game's getting publicity, I don't care how they get it.
It's wrong.
Yeah, it's probably because you can't in the men's game. You don't get to the ability to see and analyze a game. I mean, the only reason I analyze a men's match is I will watch. If I go to a match, I will watch it, but then I also, like I did with the Man United game, I came home and I'd recorded it and I watched it back 2 or 3 times, and I'll do that with a proper match, so I can see and analyze it in a cold light of day after all the emotion of the result and everything's gone, and I can do it justice. You can't do it justice when you've just watched a match and you've been beaten 4 or 5-0. Because you're going to be upset and you're going to be mad, but you're allowed that to colour your judgment. Whereas,
sorry, I've got to interrupt. I'm a bit of a Ben White. Usually, if it's men's, I'm more. Sometimes I can watch the game, depending, but usually listening to it, and occasionally, because I predominantly listen to them, and especially, and sometimes even when we lost, I will watch it back free next day on the Arsenal app to get an idea. Sometimes I just don't bother, but yeah, I'm not one that. I just couldn't over it. I mean, it's good because that's why you're helping me out with this show, because you're very technical. But yeah, once it's done, it's done. I'm very cut and dry, I'm afraid.
Yeah, no, you see, what I did when I watch a game back, what I'm looking at is what was the actual performance like? Did the performance merit or match with a result? And were there things that could have been improved, and bits like that? So it's hard, and it gives you a bit of a thing. I mean, I watched I watched a clip on YouTube earlier about our season so far in highlights, which was quite good. Even in all English. So you think Chelsea will retain the title this season? It will be close, but I am hoping that if we invest in January, like Jonas has said, that actually we'll take the title this season. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, we're in a very good position. We've got a game in hand on them. We play them in the first game up in January. So hopefully we win that. We go level. And then we can beat them in the return leg as well.
Yeah, that has been our downfall. It really, I know we love that other one to you, which of course you went to. But yeah, something about Chelsea at the moment, because I remember last season, the first game that I think they were down a defender or two, and it was a very close fought match, but we actually beat them. And then after that, it went downhill with them. And if they can just get past that, at the very least, draw with them. I think once it'll be like a mental thing. Once they can get past that, then yeah, they really could have a good chance. But Emma Hayes, bless her, she's damn good, isn't she?
Yeah, you can't knock her. No. Evening, Ange and Richard from English Conversation. Evening. Hope you're doing well and hope you have a good Christmas. Alex popped on and to give us throw a question at us. Ange, how far can the women go in the Champions League?
Whoa, I don't even want to predict that one. I really don't, because we've seen it happen before. Yeah, no, well, obviously, I'd love to see them get to a final. What did they get knocked out? Well, they got to group stages, didn't they, last season?
Yeah.
Yeah. To be honest, after that, I just sort of totally lost interest, and it was like, oh, that's a shame. Because we don't know who they're going to play next, do we?
No, I think it's, as I said, I think it's very similar to the men's, where it goes to a league table format, and then the top 8 or 10 teams in that.
Right, got you.
Then go into a knockout. Right. I think it's the top 8 teams go into a knockout stage. So it'd be quarters, and the stuff like that. But I can't. So it'll be extra matches because they'll play each other. I think I'm not sure how the format. Hang on, let me check. See how many more. But Jonas said that they could be, if they go quite away in all competitions, it's like 26 matches and all. They play in all competitions this season.
Yeah, it's a heck of a lot, isn't it? Because I haven't really particularly well, it's not. I haven't shown any interest. I'd rather the ignorance is quite blissful. But what are Barcelona ladies doing? What is their form? I don't think they're quite what they were. Am I right?
No, they're not from
Mm.
quarters. Is here. So it's group stages. Oh, that must have been last year's.
Okay.
Yeah, that was last year's. Don't want that. There's a group stage. Then there's quarterfinals, semi-finals, and then finals. So there's no round of 16. So it goes straight to the quarterfinals,
Right.
semis, and the draw for that is 10th of February for quarters.
Mm.
And they're two-leg matches. So
Fair enough. So here we go.
yeah, I mean, it's whoever we get, and you got, I think Manu, although fallen off recently, has done well this season. What's your thoughts?
Sorry. Oh, Manu. Well, the problem is she doesn't get to play much, does she?
No, I think she's in that position where she's got plenty of competition. You've got Mona Dima, and so there's a lot of competition. But when she's come on, she's done nothing wrong, and she's shown that she can be.
I tell you, when she gets a goal, she always gets a. I remember her last season. Oh,
She's tidy and technical. I like her.
Yeah, and for a little pint-sized woman, and I'm not exactly tall. When she gets a goal, she really does. Yeah, well, I think this is going to be another thing. Yeah, it would be great for her. She's needed more, and for her to get more match time. That would be good.
Which I think will happen, especially with the competitions we'll be in, because still got the Continental Cup to come.
Yeah.
I think it depends on missing out on drawing Barca. Yeah, Barca are probably the team you don't want in that draw. And then he goes on to say, if we're lucky in the draw, we can make semis, but with injuries, I think it will be a step too far. I'm not sure. I think we, depending on what we get and who we get in January, we might be able to go to the final. You need a bit of luck, and quarters drawn in February. He's confirming that. To winning the European Championship, have you noticed the level of playing raised in the Women's Super League game has a knock-on effect? I'm not sure that winning the Euros has raised the level in. I think the level in the Women's Super League was of good quality before the Euros, and I think that quality in the Women's Super League has actually had a knock-on effect for the England's women's team, and with a decent coach in that setup, enabled them to do what they've done, and now that will enable the powers to be in the Women's Super League, hopefully to get more finances, get younger girls playing and being able to improve the quality year on year out. I mean, it's a bit like the chicken and the egg scenario, isn't it? So it's our 15th quarterfinal in the Champions League. Yeah, I knew it was quite. We've appeared quite a few times, and I mean, our actual women's record is immense. And to be honest, Vic Akers needs a lot of recognition in that. And there should be some recognition of what he did for Arsenal women in the early days and his achievements.
Yeah.
Paris, Roma, or Bayern? Probably Roma. If you're looking at those three, Roma is probably the team. Roma or Paris are the two more preferable. The German teams, you know the quality of German teams and players. So if you could avoid them, you don't have to be scared of them, but you
if you could swap one and only one woman player to play in the men's team, who would you choose? Okay, if you could swap only one woman player to play in the men's team. Yeah, that's an interesting call, because obviously two of them are injured at the moment. Actually, do you know who I'd get? I'd do Leah Williamson.
That's interesting. I'd like to see Caitlin Ford.
Okay.
I mean, I like Williamson, and her and Sousa are fantastic. But I do, I like what Ford brings to the team going forward, and then you could move Martinelli out onto the into the striker position, and she's quite. I mean, if you're choosing an Arsenal player to come into the Arsenal team, if it's any woman's player, I'd probably go for the one of the two American girls, the young one that's lightning fast, and I can't remember her name now, but she's lightning fast and plays in the American leagues. I would love to have her over here, and she would fit in the men's game. But I'm taking it as just an Arsenal player, and for me, that would be Ford. But I mean, there are plenty in the Chelsea teams. If you're looking at even at Man United, you're looking at Toon, you're looking at Russo, you're looking at but it's who are you? He followed that up with Roy Williamson.
Okay. Right, I've got to justify this one. I'm going to say it will be the smoothness of the way she plays that ball, her mentality. She never gets rattled, does she?
No, she's calm. She's calm, and she's
yeah, that really comes across. And I'll tell you what, and I love her, but you wouldn't put Katie McCabe there because she's a female equivalent of Shaka, and I love her. He'd be getting booked and all, regardless. Yeah, I mean that's my justification for.
Yes, and I mean, for me, she's very good on the ball. She is very calm and collected, and never seems flustered.
And I really like her, but I don't think the Brazilian men would like it. So I don't let her play.
So we've got Alex saying even into Paul and tired, replying. And I said that was a cracking last question. Yeah, it was. And Paul saying evening, Alex. So, yeah, I mean, we'll go into this last bit, and it is all about the transfer window, and we will cover in the coming weeks. It might not be every week because it'd be very hard to, but we will dig up.
Yeah, we'll find what we can find out. Hopefully, yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to sit down with Ange, and we're going to come up with a winter break review, and do that at some point as well. And it's going to be how the season's gone, where we think we might need to strengthen, and what our expectations for the second half of the season are.
And hopefully no more injuries.
Oh yeah, I mean, but again, that's something that has to be looked at, and it's being spoken about by Miedema and that, and I think it is a question, and it's one that seems to be forgotten in the men's game as well, about the amount of games being played, which actually
too much.
I heard that the more games being played in women's game is reason for more severe injuries. Is that true, do you think?
That's an interesting concept. I mean, I personally think as well at times it's all right. Sometimes injuries happen, but that's also down to whoever's refereeing, isn't it? Because they've got to keep on top of that game. All right, challenge.
I mean, as Miedema says, the amount of football that they've played in the last cup without breaks, and the same is, and they're playing less than the men's, but it's the same in the men's. The international, all these silly international friendlies and the international cup things that they're running at the moment to get more international friendlies to get onto the cash cow that is football, and not taking player welfare serious enough. And again, with refereeing, they've put a higher threshold in, but which is fair, you want to make the game more entertaining. I understand that, but you've also got to think, where would you be without the players? If the players are injured, what product have you got? If the players aren't going to refuse to play because they're being played too much and they're scared of injury and their livelihoods, something's got to break at some point. I mean, as Miedema, Jonas Eidfeld said that Arsenal women could play up to 26 matches this season, more than they've played in any other season if they get through to the latter stages of every competition they're in. And talking of Jonas, Alex has put this up. How long is Jonas's current contract running for? I believe he signed a contract extension along with Mikel Arteta, and that was for another 3 seasons, I believe. 2-3 seasons. Yeah, it was it round about the summer. It was last January, wasn't it?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's another. I believe they both signed 3 to 5 year contracts. I'm not sure of the exact length, but
Hmm.
they've got at least another 4 seasons, 3 to 4 seasons left on their contracts.
I thought Jonas's was just for this season.
Paul has said it's 2 years. He and Arteta signed at the same time. Yeah, it was it was last Christmas they both re-signed. So, and if it was 3 years, it would be 2 years left now. Yeah,
Okay.
so
Fair enough.
I knew it was either 3 or 5 years,
Okay.
but I wasn't sure which. But Paul just confirmed it was obviously 3 years, and they've got two years left. But I would expect them to be thinking about it extending. They might wait till the summer and see what happens, but he hasn't done anything wrong, and
my personal level is all right. He hasn't done anything wrong. And they were only a point out, for goodness sake, last season. I mean, that was a heartbreaking thing, actually. But I think his motivation is so good for the women. It really is the right male coach, manager, whatever you want to call him.
yeah,
He's got those qualities, and they respect him. And also, once again, like with the men's team, you can see they're a real family and they have a laugh. And we want to see that. They can have fun because that's part of being that team, isn't it, in that squad?
yeah. So Alex says, I think Arsenal women's team has a lot to be. I do as well. I mean, for me, you have to put him alongside Herbert Chapman and Henry Norris and Arsene Wenger for what they've done for the men's team. You've got to put him in the same bracket for the women's team. The titles he got us and what he did for the women's team. And the club should be looking to recognise that in some way, whether that be and as it looks like we'll probably be heading more and more to the Emirates for women's. It should be at the Emirates, if not at Meadow Park or somewhere where the fans can go and see and understand what the man did for the women's game, and especially for Arsenal women.
Yeah.
It's just Alex saying, "Oh yeah, you're correct," and Paul saying, "Jonas Seidfeld 23-24, Mikel Arteta 24-25." Yeah, so their contracts are nearly similar, but yeah.
How do you rate the last 3 managers? Okay, Joe, Pedro, Loza, and Vic Hackers. Well, where do we start? Vic's your man, isn't he? He's the godfather.
Yeah, I mean, Vic Akers, you can't particularly, and he came in, he started it all off, and without him, we wouldn't have the history in the women's game that we had. And you got to think he did that whilst being kitman for the men's team, and so you take that into consideration. It's a pretty impressive what he did for the team. I thought with Pedro Loza, we sort of coming to a dip, whether that was Akers at the end of Acker's term, and it sort of was that natural rise and fall of the team. I don't know, but it sort of there was sort of a little dip and a bit, and then Moro came in. He didn't do too badly, I thought, and it was steadying of the ship, and he started getting us back on track. And then Jonas came in and has carried that job on reasonably well. But out of those three, I think my pick would be Vic, because of what he's done and what he did on a limited budget with limited resources, and also having to manage doing the kits for the men's team as well. So it's, I think you have to look at that as pretty special.
Yeah, and as you quite rightly say, I did see on this was the other year, hadn't they made him like an honorary president or something for the women?
Yeah, but I think there needs to be more than that.
Yeah,
I mean, you've got Herb Chapman, and he needs the same similar sort of recognition, because without Herb Chapman, our history wouldn't be the same. And I think the same with the women's. Look at the titles and things that he won, and he started for Arsenal women. He set the standard. He set, and there needs to be, I think, proper recognition. I mean, maybe at Meadow, if the women continue at Meadow Park, but I think the plan is for them to eventually move to the Emirates.
Yeah.
But if I were to stay at Meadow Park, I would have named one of the stands after him. I'd have given him a bust or a statue, and I don't see why that couldn't be outside the Emirates, to be honest, because at the end of the day, it wasn't just Arsenal women. He served the men's team, and that's and as we know, the Man United game, the head of security at the Emirates served, I think, 30 odd years, was given recognition. So they do it. I just think it needs to be a little bit more than just honorary position. Alex saying, I remember Scott saying a lot of time they had to use some of the men's kit. Women's football in general deserve it. And the transport as well. I think it was a minibus that they used. So it wasn't the sort of transport that the men's teams were used to, and again, I think it was somebody just a friend of a friend that drove the minibus and was able to drive the minibus. So getting to games and all that, I think you have to respect, and the facilities as well. I mean, you look, they have to use the men's changing rooms. I think that has to change. Change if you're going to bring women's. They need their own separate individual changing rooms with facilities within that are dedicated to the women.
I don't know though. Would that make any difference?
I think you couldn't. Yeah. Well, if you look at the men's facilities, has urinals as well as cubicles. So there's that.
toilets are different, but
and then I don't know, but there is again all the tech. I don't know what because you don't, even on the tour, you don't get to see everything in like the massage rooms and bits and pieces. But I'm sure there's specialist equipment for certain muscles and bits, because everyone's body is different. So, but you'd want it to, and the changing room is set up for the men's in a certain way. So you probably want it your separate change room so that you don't have to keep swapping and changing between games, and that it might make it easier. I think the women deserve a huge amount of respect. It's not easy going out playing a sport that is supposedly a male sport and doing it to a brilliant level. I mean, English, did you asking if you've ever played football?
Sorry, me?
Yeah.
No, because I'm an old lady, and when I grew up, girlies, and this is the amazing thing with what has happened with the Lionesses, when we'll put it all together, girls didn't play football. I would have been very good anyway, but yeah, you had a little boys team, and that was. Although I would just like to say here and now that if I had been quite a successful female footballer back in the day, I wouldn't have been good enough for England, but through my heritage, I'd have been allowed to play for Northern Ireland. And oh my God, they got rid of that manager of theirs. He was awful. Then Paul with Barraclough, he was awful.
Well, I mean, I used to play for my school, and we had a girl, Lisa Knight, on our team, and she was brilliant. And she was as good as any of the boys on this. So, yeah, I mean, but it was a different era, and it was very hard. And I know she struggled. What do you think about Jack Sullivan being in charge of West Ham women till he left in 2021?
Sorry, what's that?
What do you think about Jack Sullivan being in charge of West Ham women's till he left in 2021? Also, any similarities you see with Josh Kroenke?
I don't know who he is, so sorry.
Well, I know who he is, but I couldn't. I don't know well enough to be able to comment on that. And I think you could see similarities in anyone if you wanted to, and you could see differences in anyone if you really wanted to dig deep. But
okay.
I think what we've got to say is that in the last couple of seasons, Kroenke, especially Josh Kroenke, has stepped up and started putting the club as a priority, which is good to see. So as Alex says, at English Conversation Club, my sisters played football and cricket. They also asked me to make sure we feature women's football on the channel. Yeah, too right. We have two. Well, if you include the youth teams as well, we've got numerous teams, and we should be covering them all as they are all Arsenal, and they should be getting equal bits and pieces. And for me, as I've said, it's like a broken record. I love the technical ability of the women's game. It's brilliant, and I also like. I mean, women's rugby, and the Women's Rugby World Cup was something to behold, and the quality and the ability of women in sports has to be recognised and applauded.
Be nice to see, because where possible, try to follow the academy players a lot, but of course that's only the boy with the young men.
Yeah, there is an academy for the girls, but again, there's not much coverage, and this is where the women's game needs to to improve and get the media and get a media, even if they do it in house. Get that promotion and get that standing and get that out there.
Yeah, because that's it. You can go, obviously, as most of us are on Arsenal.com or on the app, and you can go and you get to know who the young male players are. But we only just when in fact, I'd like to see more of her. But young Michelle, her name's been featured, and we're all thinking, oh, who's she? And then she got a lucky break to actually come on. And the other one, and I think she's been carrying an injury but I keep seeing her pop up. Is that Taya Goldie, who was once again the play? But that's the only two I know. And then
it's hard to get this out there, and this is the struggle we're going to have with the transfer window coming up. We'd like to cover this Arsenal women and the Arsenal female academy in greater depth. But
do you know who might know? Was Rich? What's he? Butler? Yeah, he keeps a keen eye, doesn't he?
He might be able to get either Alex or I can give him drop him a line and see if he knows anyone, and we can start looking and researching that. That was an excellent idea.
Yeah, and it'd be really nice to get him back on, actually.
Yeah, we will do. I want to try and find a few more. We'll have the Natasha back on.
Oh yeah,
she was quite good. I would like more female on there, because then I can sit back and I can look as pretty as I can in the background and just throw the odd comment out.
Yeah.
And it would, I mean, I'd like to lean on here as well. I mean, she I know she comments on here. I know she goes on the Highbury squad, Lynn Simpson.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be lovely.
Yeah. I mean, if I've sort of I haven't actually asked her, but it's very hard to sort of try and catch her because the Highbury squad is so hot thing, and I don't get on often enough to the Arla to like the easy talk and stuff to catch her all the time. I get in on the end of it and she's gone, unfortunately. So but maybe Alex can drop her a line, or he can. I don't know if she's on any of the forums, but if she's on,
other thing,
it might be maybe we catch her there or something.
Yeah, no, that'd be really good.
Alex saying, what position would you have played? Where do you see yourself?
Goal. Definitely not. I'm no Mary Earps or amazing Manu. No, not in goal. Well, I'd like to flatter myself and think, a bit of a striker, but that's probably stupid. No, probably drifting somewhere around the middle, trying to lose myself. Then they'll be shouting at me. That's what I'm I tell you, I'd be like Tavares. Really likeable, but they don't think you're a bit. Oh, that's who I want back. I want my Tavares. Sorry, we dipped into the men's now. Yeah, but everybody's forgotten about him, haven't they, Alex?
All right, we've been going for just over an hour and a half. We've covered the topics. I'd like to thank everyone that's popped in on and listened to the show. All of you that have commented and contributed to the show. And we're going to say good night. Have a great Christmas, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks once we've sorted out what we're going to do. I think Alex has said, yeah, we want our developers back. Yes, but until then, stay safe.
Yes, absolutely.
Keep warm. Have a fantastic Christmas and New Year.
Happy New Year, guys. Up the arse.
Up the arse. And Paul Bray, no guy. Thank you all.
Thank you.